Keegan, congratulations. Listen, man, you're in your 30s. You won on the PGA Tour at the Travelers, the Zozo before that. You're the 19th ranked player in the world. Why take this job now?
Well, you know, I was asked by my peers and the Ryder Cup committee, and I felt an obligation to those guys to do this and do the best that I can.
Keegan, I know you said you were surprised, shocked even by the call. Were you surprised that nobody asked you at any point how you would go about doing this job?
No, because I think that they're looking for maybe a different approach to a captain. And I think they wanted some guys that were maybe closer to playing the tour and knowing the guys. And I think that's pretty cool. I think it's a little bit of a different approach. And with how late we are in the process of picking a captain, I think it needed to be done right away.
Well, Keegan, last year, one of the stories of 2023 was your disappointment of being left off the team. You said you didn't feel like you were part of the boys' club. Well, now you're the owner. You're the bouncer out front of the club. You decide who's on, who's off. What type of captain do you want to be?
Well, I didn't say I wasn't part of the boys' club. I've never said that. I did feel like this was a little bit of a younger group. But like I said in the press conference, I'm not afraid to say that I've looked up to these younger generation. I love the way they go about their life and their job and how they're friends with everybody, and they really pull for each other. And that's something that I didn't do when I first came out on tour. I felt like I needed to make everyone the enemy, and they were against me. And it leads to a lonelier life on tour. And that's one of the things I envy about them. And as a captain, I want to put these guys in the best position to win this Ryder Cup that's sitting right here. And I think, you know, going to Bethpage and having the right group is going to be really important.
Have you heard from those guys since the news was announced yesterday, Keegan? Any of the guys on that 2023 team that you came so close to making yourself?
Actually, I have. Yes, I have. And they've been nothing but supportive, and they're very excited. And I think that they're excited about a little different approach to this Ryder Cup staff. And I think that they're extremely hungry to come to Bethpage and win this Ryder Cup.
Keegan, you let the cameras inside your home last year. We saw the disappointment. Your wife, Jillian, was there. The kids were running around at your feet when Zach Johnson made that call. Take us to a year later, the call from Seth and from John and from Zach. What was your first conversation like with Jillian compared to 1 year ago?
Man, was it different. That call that was caught on Netflix was very raw and real, and one of the saddest moments in my life. And, you know, it took months. We're still bummed out that we didn't get to play on that team. But, you know, when I got the call a couple Sundays ago to be the Ryder Cup captain, it took a couple days for me to have this sink in and for me to process what this meant. And the responsibility to do this job is huge. You owe it to your country, but also to your fellow teammates to do the right thing and to be the best captain you can be. And, you know, I was very proud to get this call, and it felt great to get that call from Zach Johnson.
Keegan, in Rome last year, Zach admitted in one of his press conferences that the guys who had qualified automatically for the team had great influence over the 6 captains' picks. Is that something you would continue in your captaincy, or would you kind of discount the comfort and opinions of the guys who are there on points based on your own preferences?
I think that I wouldn't be picking guys based off exactly who the team wants. I think when it comes down to the last couple picks, I think it's important that the team is involved. But I'm going to take a look analytically into who fits with who's already on the team, who fits at Bethpage Black. It's a very specific type of golf course where you need to hit it pretty far, and you got to be a good ball striker. And so we're going to take a look into all that. The atmosphere at Bethpage is going to be loud and rowdy, and that's a certain type of player. So I will confer with my vice captains and also with the team, and we'll figure out what's best for the players to be picked.
On that note, Keegan, are you comfortable with 6 captains picked? Is that a number that you're going to compete, or will you consider making that a different number going forward, maybe lowering it to 4, perhaps 2?
Yeah, we're in the process of looking at that. Again, I've only been captain really for 2 days, so we're still in the very early stages of preparing for this. I sort of like the idea of having maybe 4 picks, but regardless of how many picks you have, you can take the 7th and 8th guy, and it doesn't matter. So, the team is going to be comprised of the 12 best Americans, and, we're going to look, like I said, on analytics and also who pairs well with who.
You've played for captains Davis Love and Tom Watson, Keegan. What did you learn from them about what they did well and perhaps what they didn't do so well?
Yeah, they're total polar opposite people, polar opposite captains. I think that, my plan is to call every captain over the last 20 years, 25 years, and figure out what they could have done better, what they could have done worse. I think even a winning captain would have some insight into what they wish they did differently. And, we with Davis, it was much more relaxed and players' team, and with Tom Watson, it was much more his team with the vice captain's team. And I think somewhere in the middle there is where I would land. But again, being in the team, being close to these guys now and being out there with them for the next year, I'll be out playing the same tournaments and majors. I'll have a good sense of, these guys and what they need.
If you're going to be calling former captains for some advice, is your Aunt Pat going to get a call since she did captain the Solheim Cup team 24 years ago?
I've been on the phone with my Aunt Pat already a couple times. She's my hero. I went to the Solheim Cup that she captained, and she's going to have a lot of insight into what it is to be a captain. I felt so lucky my entire career to have somebody in my own family go through all this, and it's kind of fun for us because no one else can really understand what she went through as a player, and same with me to her. So she's my all-time favorite golfer, my all-time favorite competitor, and somebody that I try to model my career after.
Well, Keegan, you're also familiar with a lot of icons from other sports, Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, Rick Pitino. How much will you draw from other sports, leaders, winners from other sports as you try to build a program and a winning mentality for 2025?
I'm calling in all favors from the last, every year of my life. I'm lucky enough to have relationships with a lot of, Hall of Fame, if not greatest ever athletes. And I'm really interested to speak to athletes that played in New York and know what it's like to play under the scrutiny of New York fans. And I'm going to lean on them a lot. I really am interested in hearing what they liked and disliked about a coach. I think that's something that I haven't been a part of in a while, and I would really enjoy to hear, what they liked, what they would say don't do, and then, as it comes closer to the tournament, I want those guys around as much as possible.
I'm curious if you have a plan, Keegan, for galvanizing the New York fans, who probably don't need much help, to be fair, but is there a strategy in place? Because there has to be some awareness that New York fans can turn against a team pretty quickly as well, especially if you were to show up in a Red Sox hat.
Yeah, they've retired the Red Sox hat for a little bit, but my message to the team is going to be just how important Bethpage Black is to the New Yorkers. This is their home course. If you ask even some people that are members at these prestigious Wingfoots and Shinnecocks, I think that they would all have such amazing things to say about Bethpage Black as well. And I want these fans to be a part of this team. And I want Bethpage is New York's home course. I want it to be America's home course. I want the guys to go out there and feel like this is our home court, this is our home course. And in my eyes, I don't know if there'll ever be or has ever been a greater home field advantage than Bethpage Black.
Keegan, I know you're preparing for every eventuality. I also know that the fire still burns deep inside you as a player. Are you prepared if you qualify on points to be a playing captain? And how will you handle juggling all of those weighty responsibilities of player and captain?
Yeah, so when I took the call, they made it clear to me that they really wanted me to play on the team, and I really want to play on the team as well. I have, John Wood is the manager of the Team USA, which is a position that's never been a part of the Ryder Cup before, and I'll lean on him, but I'll also lean on my vice captains pretty heavily. And then, I have a great relationship with Tiger Woods. He did it at the President's Cup, and I'll have to cross that bridge when I get there. Like we're a year and a half out, a little bit less than that, and maybe if I get closer to where I got a chance to make the team, I'll make some arrangements, and I would love to do that.
Do you think your appointment represents a break with the kind of the task force methodology here, Keegan, in the sense that it was a small core group of players who seemed to serve as each other's captains and vice captains, and that you're not just a generational change and much more competitively relevant than recent captains, but you're actually kind of discarding what was put in place 10 years ago to try to put a fresh face in there?
Yeah, I mean, again, I wasn't in on any of these conversations, so I don't know if that's their plan or not. All I know is they wanted me to be their captain, and it meant a lot to me. I think that me being around the guys for this year and all of next year is a pretty big advantage that not a lot of captains have ever had. I'm going to be inside the ropes in tournaments, in majors, playing with these guys. I'm going to be in the locker room. I'm going to be going to dinner. I'm going to be playing practice rounds with some of the younger guys. I am going to be able to access this every week I tee it up. It's not going to be the captain's flying in to check everybody out. I'm going to be there day in and day out, and I think that gives me a nice insight into what the team will look like.
Keegan, you have said some of the greatest days in this game and in your life have been in the Ryder Cup on Friday and Saturday in particular at Medinah, but also some of your greatest disappointments have come in a Ryder Cup Sunday, for example, at Medinah and surely at Glen Eagles. But when you look at where you sit today with that trophy next to you and the role that you have, even with the phone calls that you've had, the disappointments, does it make it all worth it where you sit today in this role?
I do. Being the Ryder Cup captain is really a heavy appointment. It's something that you need to take very seriously. You have a lot riding on being the captain, not only to the players but to the country as well, and to the New Yorkers and Bethpage Black. And to be able to be a winning Ryder Cup captain would be one of the greatest things you could do in this game. So even some players that are Hall of Fame greatest ever have never had the chance to do this. So I think that it's a very serious and heavy thing to embark on, but the rewards at the end would be remarkable.
Keegan, can we get a commitment from you now that if you do actually win the Ryder Cup at Bethpage next year, you'd come on the show afterwards, hangover permitting, and open that 12-year-old luggage bag just so we can all find out what's in there?
Yeah, it could be ugly. There might be mold. I don't know what's in there, but I think that sounds great. I can't wait to be done with this suitcase. I'm ready to open it up and never talk about it again. But the Ryder Cup is, when you play in a Ryder Cup, your life changes, and to be a part of a Ryder Cup team is so incredible. And then to be a captain is even that much better.